When I went to the orphanage with my husband to adopt a child, I suddenly saw a row of comments. That's great. The heroine will finally have a real family. But the vicious female supporting role next to her looks so pitiful. If no one had adopted her, she wouldn't have grown up to have that personality. Don't be so sanctimonious. It hurts me to think about how he will deal with my soft baby in the future. I was stunned and looked at the timid girl next to me who was full of desire in her eyes. I bent down and said in a soft voice, "Will you come home with me too?" Hearing what I said, the girl suddenly looked up at me, a light flashed in her eyes, and then quickly lowered her head, clasping her hands tightly. The comments in front of me flashed by at the speed of light. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I have watched this drama more than 10 times. Why did the heroine's mother suddenly think of adopting the vicious female supporting role? Last night the female supporting role wanted to cut the heroine's clothes and make her look bad in front of the heroine's mother. I looked at the girl in surprise. She looked very timid. I didn't expect that she had her own little thoughts. That's good. It shows that she is smart. I won't have to worry about her studies in the future. The dean didn't expect this to be the development direction. He looked at Ruin, who was about to cry, and asked with some heartache, "Although Kiki is not bad, Ruin is a kinder and cuter child. Do you really not consider Ruin?" Hearing the dean's words, I keenly noticed that Kiki's eyes were gloomy. I walked over and took his hand under his unexpected gaze. "Who said I only adopted one? I like both of them." After completing the formalities, my husband and I took Kiki and Ruan home together. My family conditions are not particularly good, but not bad either. The house is a large flat in the third ring road with 4 rooms. And tired of the dark. Can I live in the room closer to you? Ruin's small body is only as high as my waist. When she looked at me, her eyes flickered. My heart melted. Who wouldn't like such a lovely girl? I was about to agree, but my eyes caught a glimpse of Kiki standing next to me without saying a word. She squinted at Ruin as if thinking about something. The barrage flashed quickly. As soon as you see this expression, you know that the female supporting role is holding back bad thoughts again. Last time it was cutting clothes, the time before that it was pouring hot water. What is she going to do this time? I don't understand why the female protagonist's mother wants to adopt him. What if it affects Ruin's living environment? Who knows if the female supporting role will make her own drugs in the future poison the female protagonist's family in the middle of the night? It's not like he hasn't done it in his previous life. My heart jumped. Poisoning and self-made. How good is the chemistry? My daughter is great. I looked at Kachiki with admiration. Receiving my eyes, she quickly turned her head away. I reached out and touched her little head and asked, "Because I want to ask for your opinions. I haven't decorated your rooms yet, so you can sleep with Mom for the time being, okay?" "Okay, I'll listen to it." She agreed softly and obediently. Kiki lowered her head and looked at the floor, her feet tangled together awkwardly. After a long time, she coldly said, "No." I asked patiently, "Why not?" Cookie raised her head, her eyes cold. "If you want to be with him, just say it directly. There is no need to bring me with you." "I don't want it." Although she said so, Kiki's back was tense like a little hedgehog, as if she would quickly retort if I said anything unpleasant. "But Mom is afraid at night." Obviously, she didn't expect me to answer like this. Kuchi suddenly raised her head and looked at me strangely. "What are you afraid of?" I said as a matter of course, "Afraid of the dark, but you are not a child. Women are little girls until they die. Have you heard this saying?" Trumpets of confusion. Until this time, she looked like a child of this age. I patted his shoulder in a pretentious manner. "See, there are too many things you don't know. You have to go to school and study hard in the future." Kiki's expression was like constipation. She seemed to want to refute me, but she couldn't find a reason. The smile on my face deepened. What if she was a vicious female supporting role? She was still firmly controlled by me. Turning on the TV in order to prevent the 2 children from quarreling, I turned on the tablet and gave one to Ruin, ensuring fairness and letting my husband teach the 2 children how to watch cartoons. I went to the kitchen to cook. Halfway through the meal, the barrage in front of me suddenly refreshed quickly again. I knew that the vicious female supporting role was a vicious female supporting role. She started to bully our ruin again. When she was silent just now, I felt that she was plotting something. How long has the heroine's mother left? She started to make trouble again. My eyebrows jumped, and I quickly put down the kitchen knife and went to the living room. At this time, I realized that there was a strange atmosphere in the living room. My husband hugged Ruin, who was crying and sobbing, and comforted her. Cheeky stood alone on the side, holding her hands and looking at them, her whole body tense. On the ground, there was a tablet with a broken screen. I hugged Kuchiki. What's wrong, baby? Can you tell Mom what happened? In fact, the barrage had already told me the whole story. It said that Ruin wanted to play with Kiki's tablet, but Kachiki didn't want to. During the fight, Kikai directly threw the tablet away, and Ruin was scared and cried. The little body in my arms was very stiff. She twisted a few times and found that she couldn't break free, so she said coldly, "Why don't you ask him?" For some reason, my heart ached. Mom asked the elder sister first, and then asked the younger sister later. Kiki sneered, "She is not my sister." I noticed that Kokichi seemed to be very repulsive to the title of sister. When she said this word, she couldn't restrain her disgust. "Then tell Mom what happened just now, okay?" Chika stared at me for a long time as if to confirm something, and then said awkwardly, "He wanted to steal my things. I didn't want to, and then I accidentally threw it away." He pursed her lips and repeated again, "I accidentally did it. It was not intentional. I can compensate you." I laughed and said, "Where do you get the money to compensate me?" Kiki said clearly, "I can pick up 50 empty bottles a day. Sometimes I can pick up 100 if I'm lucky, and I can earn 5 yuan. I can copy homework very quickly. I can copies a day. 2 yuan for each copy, that is 20 yuan. I help others wash dishes on weekends. But because I am young, they want to deduct money from me. I can only earn 30 a day and 185 a. Don't worry, I will definitely pay you back." I was silent and suddenly felt that it was not a good thing for the child to be so good at math. The barrage that had been flashing in front of me suddenly became blank. After a while, someone asked, "Was the supporting actress so miserable before?" I just checked her life. She used to live with her stepmother, who often didn't give her food. She could only pick up waste and copy homework to make money. Later, her stepmother died and she was thrown into an orphanage. Well, she is actually quite pitiful. However, pitifulness is not the reason for her to be so vicious later, right? I closed my eyes and stopped looking at the comments. Instead, I hugged her tightly. "Mom doesn't need you to compensate for anything, and I don't need you to do these things to make money. Mom brought you back so that you can grow up happily, okay?" The tense body in my arms slowly softened, and her voice was almost inaudible. "Okay." After I calmed down, I let go of Kiki and squatted in front of Ruin. "Tell Mom, is your sister telling the truth?" Ruin her head, patted and whispered, "There are no cartoons I want to watch on TV." I secretly blamed myself for not considering it carefully. I reached out and touched Ruin's furry head. "Mom will buy 2 more tablets, one for you and your sister. But I have a request." I reached out to Kiki and pulled her over. Ruin has to apologize to your sister because it's wrong for you to take your sister's things without your sister's permission." Ruin seemed to understand. Her face flushed and she whispered, "But it's not your sister's." I said seriously, "But the thing is in your sister's hand, and your sister has it temporarily, so you can't take her things without permission. The same is true for your sister, but you made a mistake this time, so you have to apologize to your sister. If your sister makes this kind of mistake, I will also let your sister apologize to you." Ruin pouted as if she was about to cry again. My husband couldn't bear it anymore, and when he looked at me, he wanted to speak, but I stopped him with a look. Long before the adoption, my husband and I agreed that since I had to sacrifice a small part of my career and most of my time for the child, I must have an absolute say in education. Kuchi saw her husband's expression and became obviously nervous. She held me tightly with her fingers, as if she was afraid that I would also be moved by Ruin's tears. "Are you kidding? Am I the kind of person who breaks principles because of a child's tears?" Seeing that I was indifferent, Ruin finally wiped her tears and apologized to Kichi. "I'm sorry, sister. I shouldn't have taken your things." Kashtik was about to speak, but I said first, if you don't want to forgive, you can choose not to forgive until you are willing. Kiki's face was still a little reluctant, but when she heard what I said, Kiki suddenly turned her head. Okay, then I will forgive you this time, but I won't do it next time. After saying that, I felt my hand being held tighter. Because only Ruin's daily necessities were prepared in advance, Kiki's pajamas could only be used by Ruin verse. The two people's stature is not much different, and Cook are still suitable, but the little guy with a cold face and no words matched with strawberry pajamas. This contrast is really a bit funny. Ruin is quite happy and seems to like the pink pajamas on her body very much. While my husband was taking Ruin to wash up, I whispered to Kiki, if you like other styles of pajamas, I will choose another one for you when I go to the mall tomorrow. He was a little surprised. He stared at my face without saying a word. His expression changed from time to time and finally froze as if he had made up his mind. I touched his cheek and teased him. Is there something on my face? She shook her head hesitantly. It was not until I went to bed at night that I turned off the lights and just lay back in bed, and suddenly a little thing climbed on me. Kuchiki's muffled voice came from the darkness. I will protect you. It took me a while to react. He was talking about the thing that I was afraid of the dark. When I got up in the morning, as expected, my legs and arms were sore from being pressed. My husband put breakfast on the table and teased me whether I had been fighting with the two children all night last night. I looked at Kiki and smiled. Indeed, fighting monsters. If no one protected me, I would probably be finished. Kiki turned her head away from my sight, but her ears were quietly read. In the afternoon, I took the two children to the mall to buy daily necessities. I also communicated with the two little guys about their favorite decoration styles. As expected, Ruin liked a beautiful princess room, while Kachiki liked a simple style, and the only requirement was a large bookcase. As for the choice of rooms, adhering to the principle of fairness and justice, it was naturally a lottery. In the end, Kiki drew the room opposite me, and Ruin's room was next to Kiki, and the two shared a balcony. After the house was renovated, the two children got used to sleeping with me and only started sleeping in their own rooms after half a year. Time flies, and 5 years have passed in a blink of an eye. The two children also went to junior high school one after another. During this period, Kiki and Ruin were both relatively peaceful. Although there were occasional frictions, they quickly returned to calm. The only problem is that Kiki seems to have never liked Ruin and is unwilling to contact Ruin. My husband privately talked to me about this matter and asked me what to do. The two sisters were like strangers at home. Even the shared balcony was used by each of them in half, with potted plants and lounge chairs on one side and toys and small benches on the other. Occasionally, Ruin would take the initiative to call Kuchi's sister, but Kuchi could not call her unless necessary, and would only call her by her name. Although I comforted my husband and told him that it was okay, repeated attempts to mediate the relationship were fruitless. I even went back to the orphanage director to find out about the situation. Only then did I know that when she was in the orphanage, other children, including the caregivers, liked True and Ruin, and no one liked Kiki, who had a weird personality. Even when Kuki and Ruin had a conflict, they would persuade Kochiki to give in to Ruin, just because Kochiki was older than Ruin. No wonder Kuchi hated Ruin so much. Thinking of this, I had a headache. But before I could think about the next mediation plan, the bullet screen that had been in front of me for 5 years once again attracted my attention. The male lead is here. Ruin will finally have someone to protect her. I declare that the plot has officially entered the main line. It's my favorite love triangle. Every day I see this vicious female supporting role bullying our Ruin. I feel like I can't put my slap into the screen. Now, when the male lead comes, the female supporting role will fall madly in love with the male lead, and then I can watch the male lead slap the female supporting role in the face. The female supporting role and the male lead love triangle. I was shocked by the bullet screen for a long time before I recovered. My two precious daughters are only in junior high school. What a joke! It was Wednesday, and the first day of junior high school didn't finish school until 8 p.m. Because my home is very close to the school, it only takes 10 minutes to walk there. I usually don't go out of my way to pick them up, but in order to understand the situation, I went to the school gate in advance after school that day. I want to see what kind of pig dares to push our little seedlings. When the school bell rang, I quickly hid behind a pancake cart. A bunch of junior high school students rushed to the school gate. The first person I saw was Kuchiki. Because she grew up quickly, she was already 165 meters tall at the age of 13. She was tall and slender, which made her particularly conspicuous in the crowd. As soon as she left the school gate, she took out a pair of wired headphones from her pocket and put them on, then walked straight towards home with her hands in her pockets. Knowing that the two sisters don't have a good relationship, I am not surprised that she didn't go home with Ruin Ruin. The barrage in front of me refreshed very quickly. They were all worried about Ruinant, the so-called male protagonist, because of my abnormal behavior today, fearing that I would catch them in a premature relationship and then break up the couple. According to the prompts in the barrage, I Soons, or Ruin. Ruin had two pigtails and walked forward holding the strap of her school bag, followed by a tall boy. The barrage became excited, and they all sighed that the male lead was so handsome and a good match for Ruin in this short section of road. The boy named Zhang Cheng pulled Ruin's braids 5 times, ran Ruin's school bag 3 times, and ran in front of Ruin twice to force his attention. Sure enough, if you like someone, you have to keep attracting his attention. Wow, the most beautiful height difference, so sepia feeling. But I feel that baby Ruin is a little unhappy. Oh, little girls are like this, thin face, but in fact, they are already happy in their hearts. Looking at the crazy barrage, my eyes went dark. No, what's wrong with being handsome? Didn't you see that my Ruin's face was full of impatience? Can you do this? At this time, the two had already walked to a fork in the road not far from the school. Seeing that Zhang Chen was still following Ruin, as if he was going to send her home, I couldn't help but follow him. Just when I was about to make a move, another slender figure appeared from the shadows of the corner. Stay away from him. Kiki took off her headphones, rolled up the cord, and put it in her pocket. She looked at Zhang Chen, revealing the expression that would always be accused by the barrage of ill intentions and wanting to murder Ruin. Zhang Qin was unhappy. Who are you? Ruin was stunned, obviously not expecting Kuchi, Kwakor here. Cookie ignored him and said to Ruin, come here. Ruin didn't react, and Cookie frowned. Just when I thought he had run out of patience and was about to turn around and leave, Kiki suddenly walked over and pulled Ruin behind her. Let's go! After that, she held Ruin's hand tightly without allowing her to object and strode towards home. Ruin's steps were not that big, so she could only run behind her in small steps. Zhang Chen subconsciously wanted to catch up, but he heard, "He'll call me again. I will go to the grade director and say that you harassed female classmates." The 4 words, grade director, were still too intimidating, and Zhang Qing breathed quickly. He shouted unwillingly from behind, "No, who are you? I'm his sister." Zhang Qin had nothing to say, but his expression was a little constipated. He said to himself, "No, I just want to ask him to help me with my homework. Why do I look like a bad guy?" As soon as he finished speaking, a Mavic slowly stopped beside him. The car window rolled down and a woman with big curly hair and bright red lips took off her sunglasses. "So big you don't go home after school and chase after little girls. Aren't you worried that they will call the police to arrest you?" "I'm not." Zhang Chang got into the car angrily. Before the car window went up, I don't know if it was my illusion, but the beautiful woman seemed to look in my direction. Back home, the atmosphere was a little sullen. The two of them, who usually go to their own rooms when they get home, strangely stayed in the living room this time, but they didn't talk. One was reading a book, and the other was playing with a mobile phone, sitting on both sides of the sofa. When they saw me come back, they just called me and didn't say anything. I coughed, and I really didn't know how to start, so I went to cut a fruit plate first. I took out the fruit plate, put it on the coffee table, sat between the two daughters, and coughed again. Still no one spoke, but the two of them stood up and poured me a cup of hot water each. I took a sip and felt warm. Raising daughters is good, and 2 daughters are like 2 cotton padded jackets. After thinking for a while, I broke the silence. What interesting things happened in school today? Do you want to share it with your mother? Still no one spoke. Just when I was thinking about whether to talk to Ruin Ruin alone, Ruin Ruin whispered, there is a new classmate who is very annoying. He has to tease me all the time and kicks my stool in class. I can't concentrate on studying. As I thought, I ignored the barrage of comments and asked softly, have you told the teacher? What I often teach my two children is that if you feel uncomfortable at school, either find the teacher or ask the teacher to call me. Even if the pressure is too great, you can call me to go home and dress for an afternoon. Although the two children basically won't do this, I want to give them the right to go home at any time so that no matter what time, they will have the confidence and feel that they have a backing and a way out. Ruin Ruin nodded. I told the head teacher, but he said that this is a sign that the new classmate likes me and asked me not to be narrow-minded and to take care of the new classmate more. Ruin Ruin lowered her head, but keen next to her sneer. He is a male teacher. Maybe he chased girls like this when he was young, so he thinks it's nothing. I nodded in agreement, and Ruin Ruin hesitated, but he seems to be doing this just to ask me questions. Baby, no matter what the motive of the new classmate is, as long as he makes you feel uncomfortable, you can firmly reject him. If he insists on not listening and the teacher doesn't care about this matter, you can borrow a mobile phone from other teachers and call me, okay? Ruin Ruin nodded. Okay, I will reject him harshly tomorrow. And baby, although you are still young, mom still wants to tell you that if you really like someone in a healthy way, you must be good to him and help him attract others through his own advantages. It is absolutely impossible to hurt you or attract your attention, okay? Okay, I know, so he is an unhealthy person. I want to stay away from him. Ruin Ruin nodded seriously. I breathed a sigh of relief. Ruin Ruin has a kind and soft personality. Sometimes she is unwilling to tell me when she is wronged for fear that I will worry. If there is no barrage, I will not know about this matter, let alone intervene. If this goes on, Ruin Ruin will form a wrong view of love and think that it is reasonable for people who like him to bully him. No wonder these comments sometimes say that Ruin will be driven out of the car by the man in a rainstorm because of a misunderstanding, and she will be in so much pain that she will choose to hide her pregnancy and go abroad, wait a few years and come back to resolve the misunderstanding with the male protagonist, be together again for 3 years, and become a housewife and live a happy life. I took a deep breath. Educating children is really a long way to go. I am extremely grateful for the existence of comments, although the three views of the comments are also ridiculous. After listening to what I said to Ruin Ruin, the comments seem to have changed a lot. A week has passed in a flash, and I am sure that Ruin Ruin has heard my words in her heart. Because since that night, many comments have been resentful of me, saying that after Ruin Ruin clearly expressed for Zhangchen's little actions, Zhangchen has never harassed Ruin Ruin again, but instead went to inquire about Kerchi every day. Isn't the CP misplaced? But soon, the comments found that Kapachi is much more ruthless than Ruin Ruin. She went straight to the head of the grade and reported Zhang Chen for visiting other classes and disrupting the class order. She spoke righteously, and because the school had been strictly cracking down on visiting other classes during this period, Zhang Chen was regarded as the first to come out and was criticized in a notice. Zhang Chen was completely honest now and finally started to study hard. Some barrages started crying again, saying that the CP had not started to sprinkle sugar, and it was going to be cold, but I was relieved. And after the last incident, I keenly noticed that the relationship between the two sisters seemed to have eased a lot. Especially Ruin Ruin, although she didn't say it. Every time she came back and didn't see Kuchi, she would ask, "Where is my sister?" Although this little episode did not promote the relationship between Ruin Ruin and Zhang Chan, it promoted the relationship with Kiki. I was very pleased. And by the way, I took Ruin Ruin and Kiki to watch the old Love TV series on the weekend. The heroine on the screen gave up her job for the man and willingly came to where the hero was, squeezing in a small rental house to wash vegetables and cook for him. I asked them what conclusion they had drawn, and Ruin Ruin said, "You can't sacrifice your career for an illusory love." And she ran away to another place without hesitation. Her mother must be worried about her. Kiki said sharply, feeling sorry for a man will bring bad luck for the rest of his life. After saying that, she glanced at me and said, I can't do such a thing after all. My mother is afraid of the dark at night. I coughed lightly. As early as 2 years ago, Kiki discovered that I was not afraid of the dark at all. That's not the case. It's not that all men can't feel sorry for them. After all, your father and I have a good relationship. But in short, no matter when and where, stay away from people who make you worse. This is true. Both children nodded. A few days later, I found a classic love movie for them to watch. In my opinion, love is not a taboo topic. It is a human instinctive choice in the muse of art. This incident reminded me that the concept of love should be shaped as early as possible. Today's children are generally precocious and they are in a stage of youth, so they should be guided well. Clucky and Ruin began to discuss the plot of the movie with me and think about what is a truly healthy love. The barrage also slowly changed its style. Fewer and fewer people were buying CP, and more people began to think and care more about the growth of the two children. Some people even called me electronic mother and said that I taught them a lot of things they didn't know. I was also very happy to see that I helped others. However, before I had time to be happy for 2 months, the barrage told me that something happened again. Zhang Cheng began to change his strategy. According to the barrage, Zhang Chen went back to ask his father for advice after being frustrated several times. Zhang Chen's father not only did not criticize his son, but felt that his son's love at a young age was a very capable and proud thing. So he taught Zhang Chen the secret of his pursuit of Zhang Chen's mother and told Zhang Chen that girls like sweet words, gifts, and flowers. Zhang Chen got the experience of his father and ran to practice happily. He kept asking about Ruin's well-being, bought him breakfast, brought him brown sugar water, and took the initiative to help Ruin make up for his weaknesses in liberal arts. Ruin's attitude towards Zhang Chen has improved a lot. Originally, it was nothing to come here because after these days of special training from me, Ruin has made up his mind not to fall in love before college, and I also believe that he can do it. But soon I couldn't laugh anymore. I don't know when it started, but Ruin suddenly became very strange. As soon as he came back, he locked himself in the room. He rarely came out except for eating, and he would giggle in the room from time to time. Sometimes, when I asked him to come out to eat fruit, his hair was messy and his face was ruddy. When he was with his family, he would suddenly laugh for no reason, just like a girl in love. In addition, the barrage said that Ruin's relationship with Zhang Cheng has been getting better and better these days, and my heart was a lot. Is Zhang Cheng really so amazing that he can break through the defense line I carefully set for Ruin? I want to see the barrage to understand what happened, but the barrage doesn't know. After getting along with the barrage for the past few years, I know that the perspective of the barrage is not omniscient and omnipotent. Everything depends on the arrangement of the operation behind the scenes, which is not much different from watching variety show live broadcast. I was in a dilemma. I didn't want Ruin to start dating so early, but I also didn't want Ruin to be traumatized and refuse to fall in love in the future because of the poor handling of the situation. After thinking about it, I decided to start with Kiki. First, Kiki and Ruin are the same age. Although Kiki is young, she is very opinionated. Second, it would be better if I could take this opportunity to further improve the relationship between the two sisters. After hearing the euphemistic words, Kiki looks strange. It shouldn't be because of this, right? Although Zhang Chen looks decent, Ruin probably won't like him. I was worried, but you should have seen your sister's recent performance. I always feel that Ruin is hiding something from me. Kiki sighed, went back to the room, took out her mobile phone, opened it, swiped it twice, and then handed it to me. I took it and saw that it was a chat record, and the note was Zhang Cheng. I swiped it casually, and the chat record of the two people was so long that I couldn't finish flipping through it, although the messages sent by Zhang Chen accounted for the majority. The barrage was lively at that time. I said, the female supporting role still can't assate of liking the male lead, right? No, the male lead won't really change to like the female supporting role, right? What about my CP? His mind is full of love every day. Don't you think this male lead is completely unworthy of my two girls? Hen on wisdom teeth extraction, supporting daughters to be beautiful. In fact, as early as a year ago. In order to avoid the so-called male and female protagonists meeting, I temporarily changed my mind and changed Ruin in Keith E's junior high school. Later, when I saw the barrage saying that the male protagonist stayed in the junior high school of the original plot, I was really happy. But it turned out that I was too happy too early because only a few months after the start of school, Zhang Cheng followed and transferred over, which was completely a plot that was not in the original plot. I suddenly felt a little dizzy. Is the so-called original plot so powerful that no matter how much effort I make, it can never be changed? Mom, what are you thinking about? Kakiki's voice woke me up from my brief absence. It was indeed me who chatted with Zhangchang, but I used Ruin's name. What? I was a little confused. What do you mean by using Ruin's name? Kakchao's word of egg, actually. It's nothing. I was just afraid that Zhangqin would harass him, so I asked him to push Zhangqin to me, and I took his place to deal with Zhangqin. Let me make it clear first, I didn't take the initiative to help him. It's because he looks miserable in front of me every day, otherwise I wouldn't be happy. I was stunned. Is that the case? Vikik often said. And Mom, you see, I only replied to Zhangchan when he asked about homework. I pretended not to see his messages at other times. It's true, I was completely relieved now. But didn't Ruin reject Zhangchan? Wouldn't it be better not to add him directly? I asked in confusion. Hearing what I said, Kik E's expression suddenly became a little solemn, and her expression became tangled. I tried to soften my voice. It's okay, baby. If you haven't decided when to tell me, you don't have to tell me yet. Ha believes in you too. Kiki pursed her lips, as if she had made up her mind. In fact, Ruin told me that although he should hate Zhang Chen, he always can't help but be attracted to him for some reason. After letting Cookie go back to her room to sleep, I sat on the bed with my knees hugged. I don't know how to describe my mood at the moment, angry, sad, confused, but I am more afraid. I am afraid that Ruin will be hurt by Zhang Chen in the future, and I am even more afraid of the ending described in Kaki's Barrage, the ending that because of jealousy of the heroine, kidnapped the heroine and finally committed suicide. Why? Is the plot so irresistible? Ruin has lost her weakness and gradually began to become brave, and Kachi has long become a kind, strong, and sensible girl. If their ending is still the same as before, what is the point of all my efforts? At this time, the barrage was as restless as my mood. The barrage was noisy, but this time most people were as angry as I was, and only a small number of people still supported the hero and heroine to be together. Countless people stood up to speak for me. They said they would go to the official website to file a joint petition demanding that our settings be changed and that we have a free world. I originally just watched it as an ordinary love variety show, but now I feel more and more that they are also real people. So real people, since this book has spawned its own little world, they are real people. Yes, a cross-dimensional little world. We should no longer treat them as paper. Tape the people we go to see no meeting services is open. I will definitely go to see my mother and daughter. I will definitely go to see my mother and daughters. That be courtesies, that I estate speak. I sleep with a sleep. I could sleep almost week big. I will definitely them as the majority is here. Posting barrage stop arguing. The silent majority is here. Posting Brian mother first time. I just happen to know the planet is to make terrorist him. I just happen to know the break art to him. Besides, lives that word family of. I suddenly felt less sad because at this moment, in another world, there are so many people working hard for the freedom of me, Kiki and Ruin. So what qualifications do I have to give up? I went to see Zhang Chen's mother. She still had long hair and red lips, wearing a red dress, and she was confident and flamboyant. I handed over the menu. Mother Zhang, what would you like to drink? Mother Zhang took it and stuck out her tongue at me. Don't call me Mother Zhang. My name is Zhang Yan of Swallow. I don't want to lose my name because of having a child. I praised. You are really as good as your name. You have good vision. Someone laughed at my rustic name before. Chen Yan smiled, checked a cup of coffee, and then handed the menu to the waiter. Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about? Is it because of my son? I nodded, and without beating around the bush with her, I directly told her everything about Zhang Chen, Ruin on Ki at school. The more she listened, the more embarrassed Zhang Yan's face became. When she heard me talk about sending breakfast, she suddenly stood up and slammed the table. He must have learned it from his file-andering father. I felt my heart shaking along with the table. Zhang Yan then realized that I was still there and immediately sat down and apologized to me. I'm sorry, Sister Yan An. It's all my fault. I've been busy fighting for the company with my ex-husband in the past few years. The children are either taken care of by a nanny or his father. I didn't expect him to grow up like this. Don't worry, I will discipline him strictly when I go back, and I will never let him continue to harass your two little darlings. I was shocked by the amount of information in Zhang Yan's words. What does it mean to have no time to take care of the children because of fighting for the company? Zhang Yan pressed her temples. She drank the coffee brought by the waiter like drinking, and then began to tell me her stories over the years. It turned out that in the early years, Zhang Chen's father also relied on constant gifts and sweet talk to win over Zhang Yan. The two started from scratch and had the company later, until Zhang Yan gave birth to a child. She had a lot of say in the company, but because of the birth of Zhang Chen, Zhang Yan had to take more time to take care of Zhang Chen, which led to Zhang Chen's father gradually marginalizing Zhang Yan from the company. Later, Zhang Yan discovered that he had cheated many times. However, Zhang Yan did not fall out with Zhang Chen's father the first time. Instead, she hid and hibernated, collecting evidence of Zhang Chen's father's crimes, bit by bit to take the company back. As a result, Zhang Chen's growth was ignored. Maybe the coffee that day was too intoxicating, or maybe the drizzle that day was too quiet. Zhang Yan told me a lot of things and listened to me a lot of things. Raising a child is not smooth sailing. I was also angry and couldn't sleep at night, tossing and turning, and had to get up the next day to prepare breakfast and go to work. Maybe because we both play the same role in life. We are like old friends who have known each other for many years without any sense of strangeness, as if we should have known each other a long time ago and become each other's soulmates. I had one refill of coffee after another, and I felt more and more energetic. Zhang Yan went home only after she repeatedly assured me that she would take over Zhang Chen's education. The moon was very round that day. When I got home, the house was quiet and the lights were not turned off. I had just changed my shoes when I suddenly heard a noise coming from Ruin's bedroom. I immediately became alert and knocked on the door tentatively. Ruin, are you home? No one answered. I pressed the power button of the mobile phone with one hand and slowly pushed open the door with the other hand. It was pitch black inside, and I was about to turn on the light when something suddenly hit my leg. I stepped back in fright. Suddenly, a bunch of bright lights slowly approached me from a distance. Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! The firelight illuminated the two red faces of Kiki and Ruin, who were holding a big strawberry cake in their hands, and my husband stood behind them, clapping for them. It was not until then that I could see clearly that there was a chubby calico kitten under my feet. The kitten had round eyes and a beautiful eye around its neck. It was not afraid of strangers at all and was still trying to pounce on me. I picked it up and said, "What a cute kitten!" Kiki raised her eyebrows and said, "This is a gift that my sister has been hiding in the room for half a month to prepare for you." For a moment, Ruin's strange behavior during this period slowly emerged in my mind. Could it be that Ruin was not abnormal because of Zhang Chen, but because of this kitten? A warm current surged in my heart, not only because I was moved, but also because it seemed to tell me that Ruin's forced feelings for Zhang Chen were actually not as touching as a kitten. I blinked my eyes, but I usually come in to clean for my sister. Where did you hide at that time? Ruin said proudly. Of course it was in my sister's room. My sister has mysophobia and she cleans her room by herself, I teased. You two have a really good relationship, Kiki snorted, who has a good relationship with him. Although she said so, the corners of her mouth. Ruin hugged Kiki's arm with one hand and said loudly, of course. My sister and I are the best in the world. Okay, let's not talk about this. The best mother in the world, please make a wish. I handed the kitten to my husband, put my hands together, and made a serious wish. May all those who love me and those I love me and those I would be safe and free. The next day, Ruin came back and told me that Zhang Chen apologized to her and said that he didn't know that his previous behavior was. He also said that Zhang Chen would transfer back to his previous school soon, and he would not appear in front of Ruin again until he was completely sensible and mature. Zhang Yan is really a special and excellent person. With such a mother, Zhang Chen should not grow up crooked again, I think. I carefully observed the expression on Ruin's face. I felt relieved, not sad. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Kiki also came over to me and said that the subtle emotions she had towards Zhang Chang had also disappeared. She asked me not to worry about them anymore, that she would protect her sister at school. At the same time, the barrage was also cheering and saying that after a large-scale boycott and the full efforts of some powerful viewers, the program team finally made a promise that they would not interfere with us in the future and acknowledge that we are a free little wolf. After today, the program will be officially banned, which means that after today, I will not be able to see these barrages. Dense barrages flashed in front of me. Everyone was cheering and blessing, and also saying goodbye in tears. As I watched, my eyes slowly became wet. I suddenly reached out and took Ruin and Kiki together, one on the left and one on the right, and then made a yes gesture to the barrage. Although Ruin and Kachiki were a little confused, they also followed suit. Just like the crew had finished filming, I choked up as I said my closing words. Thank you, everyone who has read this far. Whether it is today or tomorrow, please be happy, work hard to be yourself, and exist brilliantly. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching.